I was just a broke, confused girl trying to figure out my life. Then she walked in, older, richer, mysterious. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "If you're brave enough, stay." That one moment flipped my entire world. What happened next? Even I couldn't predict. Before I share what changed my life forever, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This story isn't just about me, it might be about you too. So stay with me till the end. Before I met her, my life felt like one long loop on repeat. Wake up, get dressed, force a smile, go to a job that drained me, come home too tired to dream. I was surviving, not living. Paycheck to paycheck, always calculating, always choosing between bills and basics. I wasn't poor in the way people imagine, but I was poor in spirit. I worked at this tiny office doing customer support, just one of those jobs where no one really notices if you show up or if you don't. I'd sit at my desk, answering calls, pretending to care while slowly watching the minutes crawl by. I had no real plan, no ambition, and to be honest, I had stopped believing anything different was possible for me. People thought I had it together. I smiled in pictures, posted fake little wins online, told my parents I was fine. But deep down, I felt like I was disappearing, like I was fading into some version of myself I didn't even recognize. I wasn't living, I was just performing. And no one saw the truth. Not until she did. Not until that one moment when everything I thought I knew about myself was completely undone. It happened on one of those days where everything just felt heavy. I remember I left work early, pretending to be sick because I just couldn't take it anymore. I wandered into this small, independent bookstore I'd never noticed before. It smelled like old paper and something floral, and for the first time in a long while, I actually felt calm. I was tucked into a corner, flipping through a book I knew I wasn't going to buy, when she walked in. She was different. Not just beautiful, but striking. Maybe late 40s or early 50s, dressed simply but with elegance. There was something about her, like she wasn't afraid of anything or anyone. Her eyes scanned the room like she already owned it. She walked with ease, yet with purpose, as if the world rearranged itself around her. She noticed the book in my hand and casually said, "That one's honest." Brutal, but honest. Her voice was warm but firm. I was startled. No one ever talked to me like that, like I was worth noticing. We ended up talking for almost an hour. At first I thought she was just being polite, but soon it felt deeper. She asked me questions no one ever had, about my dreams, my fears, who I wanted to be, and for some reason I answered, all of it. She listened like she knew me already. As she stood to leave, she looked right into me and said, "If you're brave enough, stay." Then she handed me her card. Just a name and a number. No explanation. I stood there frozen, card in hand, heart pounding. I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of everything. I waited 2 days before I texted her. Not because I forgot, believe me, I didn't, but because I was scared. What would I even say? What did she want from me? I barely knew her, and yet something in her words had stuck to me like glue. If you're brave enough, stay. What did that even mean? When I finally reached out, she replied instantly, "Tomorrow, 6 p.m. corner table at Levin's. Come if you're ready." I almost didn't go. I changed my outfit 3 times, told myself she probably wouldn't show, or worse, this was some kind of prank. But something in me needed to know more. So I went. She was already there when I arrived, sipping something from a glass, calm as ever. She didn't ask why I came. She just smiled and said, "I'm glad you did." Over dinner, she told me things that felt too big to believe, that she ran her own companies, that she didn't work for anyone, that she mentored women like me, not because she needed to, but because someone once did the same for her. Then she got serious. "I don't do this for just anyone," she said. "I see something in you, but it's up to you whether you want to see it too. This won't be easy. I will challenge everything you think you know, but if you're brave enough, I'll show you how to stop surviving and start becoming. My heart was racing. It felt like she was offering me a new life, but with no map, no promises, just a choice. And right there, with my old life sitting on one side of the table and something terrifyingly new on the other, I said, I'm in. From the outside, she looked like she had it all: wealth, respect, freedom. But what she showed me behind closed doors was something no one else saw. She didn't grow up powerful. She had built it from scratch, from pain, from rejection. Over late-night phone calls and quiet dinners, she slowly revealed parts of her story. She had grown up in a small town, underestimated by everyone. She'd been told she was too emotional, too bold, too much. She had failed more than once. She had trusted people who used her. She had loved people who left her. But instead of folding, she used it all. She told me something I never forgot. Power doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from choosing yourself again and again, even when the world doesn't. She didn't just share her wins, she shared her scars. And that changed everything for me. She taught me that strength wasn't about never being hurt. It was about standing up after, even shakily, and still moving forward. She didn't offer me shortcuts. She offered me questions, challenges. She made me read books I didn't understand at first, asked me what I thought about them, asked me why I always said sorry before sharing an opinion. Stop shrinking, she'd say. You're not here to be small. Her presence alone made me want to be better, not just for her, but for me. I didn't realize it at the time, but slowly her power was becoming my mirror. I started to see glimpses of what I could be, not just what I was. She was guiding me, but never carrying me. And that's when I started to understand. I wasn't just learning from a powerful woman, I was learning how to become one. The deeper I stepped into this new version of my life, the more uncomfortable it became. Growth sounds beautiful, but the truth is, it's messy. And it hurts. People around me began to notice changes. I spoke up more. I started setting boundaries. I wasn't always available, always agreeable, always pleasing. Some friends didn't like that. One even told me I was trying too hard to be someone I'm not. That one stung. But I realized she wasn't mad at me. She was mad that I was changing without her. Then came the whispers. People started questioning my relationship with her. Was I being used? Was I in too deep? Someone even asked if she was controlling me. The truth? She was doing the exact opposite. She was handing me the keys and walking away, telling me to drive. But that kind of freedom, it's terrifying when you've never had it before. There were days I wanted to quit. Days I missed the old comfort of smallness, of blending in, of not having to choose. I failed. I cried. I messed things up. And every time I doubted myself, I'd hear her voice. No one strong ever got there without first falling apart. She made me question everything, my habits, my words, even how I walked into a room. I used to look down, apologize for just existing. Now I was learning how to take up space. The challenges weren't just coming from the outside, they were from within. I was battling the quiet, cruel voice in my head that said, "You're not enough." And day by day, fight by fight, I started answering back, "Maybe I am." It was supposed to be just another business dinner. One of her partners was in town, and she wanted me to observe. She said it would be good for me to learn how people in power talk, negotiate, and listen. I didn't know that night would become a turning point. I watched her in action, graceful, strategic, unshakable. She didn't dominate the room with noise, she did it with presence. Every word she spoke was intentional. I sat silently, taking it all in. But when the meeting ended and her partner left, something shifted. We stayed behind, the restaurant quiet and almost empty. She looked at me and asked, "So, what do you want?" It caught me off guard. I stumbled through answers, success, freedom, maybe even confidence, but none of it felt real. That's when she leaned forward and said gently but firmly, You don't know. And that's the problem. You're building a life with no blueprint. Her words hit hard. I felt exposed. I felt seen. And for the first time, I let myself break. I told her I was scared, that I didn't want to fail, that I didn't even believe I deserved more. She let me cry. She didn't rush me. When I finally quieted down, she said, "If you don't choose your path, someone else will hand you theirs, and you'll live it, not because you love it, but because it's easier to follow than to fight." That night, something clicked. I stopped waiting for someone to tell me who I was. I went home and made a list, not of goals, but of things I refused to keep tolerating. It was the beginning of the life I chose. After that night, everything changed, but not all at once. The change was slow, sometimes painful, but real. I stopped waiting for permission to take up space. I stopped second-guessing every decision. I started doing things that scared me. I applied for a new job I never thought I'd qualify for. I got it. I joined a mentorship circle she suggested, even though I felt like an imposter. I started speaking up in rooms where I used to stay quiet. I said no without over-explaining. I said yes to myself more often. The most surprising part? I wasn't relying on her anymore. She was still there, but she had shifted. From leader to guide, from teacher to mirror. She didn't tell me what to do. She asked better questions. Questions that forced me to face parts of myself I had ignored for too long. I also began noticing something I never expected. Other women looking at me the way I used to look at her. They asked me for advice. They thanked me for speaking up. They said things like, "You make me feel like I can do more too." That's when I realized I wasn't just growing, I was becoming. Becoming someone I respected. Becoming someone I could count on. Becoming the kind of woman I once needed. Our conversations became less frequent, but more meaningful. She no longer corrected me, she trusted me. I wasn't the girl who met her in that bookstore anymore. I was walking taller, thinking sharper, feeling deeper. I was still learning, still failing sometimes. But for the first time, I knew who I was outside of her. I was no longer becoming her, I was becoming me. It happened without warning. One morning, I sent her a message, just a simple update about a project I had finally launched. She didn't reply right away, which wasn't unusual, but days passed, then a week, no response. I started to worry, not in a panicked way, but with a quiet ache I couldn't explain. Something felt different. Then, 2 weeks later, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name in her handwriting. Inside was a short letter. No long goodbye, no dramatic explanation, just a note that said, "You don't need me anymore, that was the point. You were brave enough to stay, and now you're strong enough to leave. Go lead." A. I read it 5 times before I could breathe. It didn't make sense at first. How could someone who had become such a huge part of my life just disappear? I felt abandoned, but not in the way I expected. Not in fear or sadness. I felt like I had just been released. That's when I realized something else. She had been preparing me for this moment the whole time. All the challenges, the uncomfortable questions, the uncomfortable silences, the confidence she built in me. It wasn't to keep me close. It was to set me free. And even though she was gone, she wasn't really gone. Her lessons stayed with me. Her voice echoed in my mind when I doubted myself. Her presence lived in the choices I made now, in how I showed up to life. I didn't chase her. I didn't try to call. I knew that if our paths crossed again, it would be because they were meant to, not because I needed her to hold my hand. What she gave me wasn't mentorship. It wasn't training. It wasn't even just encouragement. She gave me permission to become. And that's a gift no one can ever take back. The truth is, some people don't stay forever. They arrive, they disrupt, they rebuild you, and then they step back so you can finally take the lead. That's who she was. And I will always carry that. It's been over a year now. Sometimes I still walk past that old bookstore and smile. It's closed now, shut down months ago. But I remember the first time I saw her, standing in that quiet corner, noticing me when I felt invisible. That moment changed my life, and now I live in a way I never thought possible. I'm leading projects, speaking on panels, mentoring younger women who remind me so much of myself. And every time I sit across from one of them, listening to their fears and doubts, I feel her spirit beside me. I hear her voice saying, "Be the mirror. Don't rescue, reveal." I don't pretend to have it all figured out. I still stumble. I still get nervous. But now I trust myself to figure it out. I don't need someone to save me. I learned to save myself. One day, I met a young woman at a small event. She looked lost, just like I used to. Afterwards, she came up and said, "The way you spoke, it made me feel like maybe I could be more too." I smiled and handed her a card, just my name, just a number, and I told her, "If you're brave enough, stay." It wasn't a line, it was a promise, a legacy passed down from one woman to another. That's how change happens, quietly, boldly. One choice, one person, one moment at a time. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone is meant to walk it with you. But some people, they'll appear like lightning. They'll shake your life in ways you never imagined. And then, just like that, they'll step back so you can take your place. She was older, powerful, unshakable, and she told me, "If you're brave enough, stay." I did, and because of that, now it's my turn to say the same. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below and tell me, who was the person that changed your life? And if no one has yet, maybe you are meant to be that person for someone else. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay for more true, powerful stories.